Hello my fragrance friends, it's Kat and I'm back today to do a ranking video. I feel like these are fun to watch and they're fun to do. They're a bugger to edit, which is why I don't do them often. But today I'm going to be ranking all the Lattafa fragrances that I currently have. I've got I think 14 here with me and then another 2 that I have passed on. So I've given them to my sister. So I'm going to rank them. I'm going to use that sort of program where it's like S tier and then A, B, C, D. Essentially the way that I'm going to think about it in my head is S tier, which is like the best tier. They're the fragrances that if something happened to the fragrance, I would repurchase it straight away. So that's like, it's got to reach that level of I love for it to hit that tier. A tier is sort of, I really love it, I really enjoy using it, but I maybe wouldn't be in a rush to repurchase it if I used it up or if something happened to it. So that's probably A. B is it's wearable, but I definitely wouldn't repurchase. It's just something I like. C tier for me would be something that I could wear, so it's not so offensive that I can't wear it, but I am probably going to pass it on or declutter it because it's something I don't really like. And then D tier is it's so bad that I've had to pass this on. Like this is something that I can't wear, something I can't tolerate. So that's how I'm going to be structuring it in my head. But let's start getting onto the rankings. Okay, let's start with the big one. Let's start with Khamrah. So this looks like it is a fancy bottle of whiskey or something. This is the most popular fragrance the last couple of years in a row on Fragrantica. So most people rave about it. Most people love it. This is one of those fragrances that if you have heard about Middle Eastern fragrances, you've probably come across this one. If you haven't smelt it, it is a very likable scent. So this is quite spicy and to me, it doesn't have apple in it, but the spices make it smell like an apple pie. So it's quite sweet. It's quite spicy. It is unisex, but you have to like sweet to like it. I'll have the notes on the screen. Now this does look like a bit of a mixed bag. So you do have like the spices in the opening, which you can definitely smell. The sweetness comes from the dates, the praline, and the vanilla tonka. So there's actually quite a lot of sweet notes in there, but then it does have some more grounding notes that make it a little bit more woody, a little bit more ambery. So it is an interesting one. Now, what do I think about this? I respect it as a fragrance, but I don't like wearing it. Yes, it's beast mode, which is not my goal of every fragrance because sometimes I don't want to smell obnoxiously loud and strong. This is definitely a strong fragrance, but it also is one of those fragrances that I've just learnt doesn't really mesh with me and my vibe. I like the scent, but it doesn't feel like it works with me. And when I'm wearing it, it's like the scent wears me and I don't wear the scent, if that makes sense. So I would have this as a candle. I would have it as like something else, something external, but on me, this is a bit hard to wear. I have tried to really tone it down and you can layer it with things to sort of soften it. But ultimately it's just a bit jarring on me, but I understand why people love it. I would not repurchase this. And if I had someone in my life that was like, I really want to try Khamrah, I'd be like, here, take it, my friend. So I'm giving it a B. Oh, next we have Nebras. Now I don't have Nebras with me because I actually gave it away, which gives a big hint of how I feel about it. So Nebras is a very popular fragrance. It's one of their most well-known ones. It's got vanilla, sweet, cacao, warm, spicy, amber, fruity, powdery in the accords. Again, I'll have the notes on the screen of this. There's fruity elements, vanilla, cacao, rose, sugar, tonka, musk, amber. So it's, again, a bit of a mixed bag. But to me, what I didn't love about it is that it smelled quite confused on me anyway. So you do get a bit of a sort of chocolatiness. The berries, I don't think it necessarily smells like berries. It just gives a bit of a fruitiness. There is some sweetness. There is like it smelled confused. And at times I'm like, oh, that smells nice. And then other times I'm like, oh, that smells cloying. Also, some people notice what they would consider like a mint scent to it or a toothpaste scent to it. I didn't when I first got it, but after I let it macerate, I get it. Like I got that minty note to it as well. And again, it just smelled like a jumble mess of fragrances. So I actually gave it to my sister. Was it something that I couldn't wear? Not necessarily, but it was something that I didn't want to reach for pretty much ever. I would probably put that in my C category. And I think the distinguishing thing between Khamrah and Nebras is that I like the smell of Khamrah. It's just not a scent that works well on me. Whereas Nebras, I didn't like the smell of. It just seemed confused. However, it didn't deter me from buying Nebras Elixir. And I did blind buy this, and I'm glad I did. This is a completely different fragrance. So if you're worried that you didn't like Nebras, it didn't work on you, and Nebras Elixir is just a tweaked version of it, that's not the case at all. This is so completely different. I honestly think this probably should have had a different bottle and been its own sort of unique thing, because associating it with Nebras, I think, is doing it a disservice. And if you like Nebras, you're not necessarily going to like this, and vice versa. This is a completely different beast. And this one, I really, really like. So this is a sweet, vanilla-y, powdery scent. It's not a marshmallow scent, but it almost gives that powdery, sweet vanilla vibe that marshmallow scents give. So it's that kind of airy, powdery, light, sweet vibe, if that makes sense. Not sort of old-fashioned powdery, and not juvenile. It's actually really lovely, and it is one of those ones where it's hard to really pinpoint how to describe it because it is its own creature. The notes are a bit odd because I don't necessarily see those notes in this. So there's milk candy, whipped cream, sugarcane, heliotrope, vanilla, ambroxan, and musk. Now, I see some of it, but I don't get creaminess from this. I don't get sort of milk candy. There's definitely that sweet element, but it's not lactonic in my opinion anyway. It's definitely sugary, slightly floral, powdery, vanilla-y, musky. I think this is lovely. I'm not wearing a fragrance today, but I'm just like, okay, I love this. I think this is so good. It does remind me of something else. I can't pinpoint it. I feel like the heliotrope is giving it a bit of that powdery floral, which makes it really unique. And then I think in the sort of projection, I think I'm getting a little bit of that milk candy vibe, but I wouldn't call this is not a gourmand. So if you're thinking it's gourmand, it's not. It's definitely powdery, musky, floral, sweet. It's not really necessarily edible, but it's really cozy. So I like this. I think the biggest issue that I have with it is that it is a very subtle scent. It's almost like if Juliet Has a Gun made this sort of musky, ambroxan, sweet, slight floral, vanilla fragrance. Like it sort of feels like that. So it ends up wearing like a very intimate sort of close scent. And if you're into something that projects more and you want it to be really strong and long lasting all day, probably not for you, but it does last. It just stays close to the skin, which I quite like. So I think this is beautiful. To be fair, if something happened to this, I would repurchase it straight away. So I'm going to say this is my first S tier because it is just unique, delightful, easy to wear. You can wear it any time of the year, any time of the day. Really cozy evening scent. I really like it. I think it's great. Interesting that these paired up at the same time because I sort of feel like Nebras Elixir is just a better version of Yara. It gives the same vibe. It's the same strength. It's the same sort of sweet powdery vibe, but this smells like it's got a personality and this seems like it doesn't. One thing I didn't mention is over the last couple of weeks, I have been wearing all of these. So I remind myself what I think about them and how they wear. Now I actually did wear Yara a few times in the past couple of weeks because it's a beautiful evening scent. I don't think it is as nice as Nebras Elixir. Now, if I had to describe this, I would instinctively say that it seems like it's equal parts sweet, powder, fruity floral. Like it's sort of like it's just so overblended and so overly balanced that nothing is standing out as being a dominant note. This gives me vibes of a nice smelling shampoo or a nice smelling body wash, nice smelling soap, that kind of thing. To me, this is not a perfume. This is more of a body spray. So if you're wanting to smell nice and you want your body to smell like it's, you know, you've just come out of the shower and you smell nice and clean and a little bit sweet, but a little bit powdery. That's what this is. And I never really reach for Yara because it does lack personality. But reaching for it in the past couple of weeks, I'm like, there is a place. Like it actually is a nice after shower, get into your PJs. It's not like too strong. It's just this nice sort of subtle scent. But in terms of is it a nice perfume? No, it's actually sort of just like a nice body spray. This is the nice perfume. So if you wanted a nice soft sort of feminine, fluffy fragrance. I think this is just generally nicer, and this just smells like it's a shampoo, a nice shampoo. I will use this. It is fine, but it is not like S or A tier. To me, it's probably alongside Khamrah for very different reasons, but it's wearable, it's usable, it's just not amazing. There are a few flankers of Yara, and there's a new sort of intense one as well, but the only other one I bought was Yara Candy. Now this one, I've heard so many people rave about, like it is the best candy fragrance and it's amazing, and I've gone through like 4 bottles and blah, 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 blah. Sure, it's fine. I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say I'm probably reaching for the original Yara more than this for a reason. I think what's let this down, so it is a more fruitier version. The note structure, there's black currant, which I really love. I don't get a lot of black currant in this. There is green tangerine, strawberry fizz candy, gardenia, vanilla musk, amber, sandalwood. I've had a lot of people say that it is that strawberry fizz candy. If it was, I would be like singing its praises. But it is, again, a bit of a muddled, sweet, fruity scent. Now, the fruity sweet notes do give a sort of sugary candy, fruity vibe, which I do like. But what I didn't like about this, it's made more evident when I've been sort of retesting it in the past week or two, is that it just fades down to a generic musk. If it was a little bit more tart, or if it held some of that fruitiness for longer, cool. But after a few hours, you smell it and you're like, it's sort of like a sweet musk. And you're like, where did the personality go? So I actually think that I've got more place in my day for this than I do this. They're both wearable. I will wear this. I'll probably try to pan it in the future. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, I'm halfway done and I can't wait to repurchase it. It's not as bad as Nebras for me, so I would probably put this in B tier, but it's not amazing. The next one is another one that I think I was trying to convince myself that I was going to love, but then in the past couple of weeks testing it, I was like, hang on, I don't like this. It's Ajayeb Dubai. I'm going to butcher that. But anyway, it's a very popular one. It's a fruity fragrance. This, I can understand why people talk about Middle East fragrances having a Middle East scent in them. I previously didn't understand what that meant, but I think I can smell it in this. So this is supposed to be fruity, tropical, citrus, sweet. Yay. It also has some woody and some other notes in there that sort of make it a little bit more unisex. The top notes, orange, lemon, there's mango, osmanthus, jasmine, all sounds lovely. And then in the base notes, there's oud, sandalwood, musk, and amber. Now there is a trigger note in there for me. And that's all I bloody smell. Maybe some notes have intensified over that time. These days I get a bit of freshness in the opening, but it's bombarded with oud and sandalwood. And then as it starts to fade down, which citruses do very quickly, it becomes a sticky oud fragrance. And what I mean by that is like, it just feels like it's stuck to me and won't wash off. So I don't like this. I thought I was gonna love it. I'm like, okay, this is fresh, this is nice. It may have changed since I remember using it a lot, but this became fairly obnoxious to use. Even smelling it here, I'm getting like a powdery sandalwood scent rather than that freshness. Like that freshness is gone. So yeah, it may have macerated to a point that I don't like it. I'm not sure, but this is, it's in between C and D. It's definitely been decluttered and I don't want to wear it again. So let's put it D. In contrast, I actually have a fragrance here that is, I think they're all considered unisex sort of, but this is more of a masculine leaning one. And when I had tried that last one, I was like, this one is going to be the same deal. But this one really surprised me. Okay, I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to butcher it, so I'll have it on the screen. But the accords of this, they don't mirror that last one, but they have some similarities. So they're quite fruity, sweet, there's some woody, tropical. This one has some fresh notes, amber, warm, spicy, oud, white floral, fresh, spicy. Instead of it being a mango scent, this is more of a pineapple scent. So the notes are pineapple, saffron, balsam fir, jasmine, cedar, amber, and oud, which, ugh, but the oud isn't bad in this, and this is very nice. So it does open very tropical pineapple, almost like pineapple juice, but not super sweet because it's balanced by other things. but I feel like the base notes come through and it gives a slight masculine sort of fresh aquatic vibe, but it not being annoying. It's actually very nice. So this, even though the bottle looks really masculine and there are notes in there that sort of give it a bit of a masculine vibe, this is a really nice fragrance. If you're a male and you like you're fine with a bit of fruitiness, like this is beautiful. And then if you're a female, but you're okay with a bit of like cedar freshness, there's something really alluring about this. And again, I don't know if this has gotten better over time, that when I first tried it, I'm like, it's okay. But now as I'm like retesting it, I'm like, it's becoming a little bit addictive. And that pineapple kick, it's almost like, it smells like pineapple juice. Like it's fairly realistic. The funny thing is that if I didn't retest these over the last few weeks, I probably would have ranked this much higher and this much lower, because my perception of it was this is quite masculine and this is quite fruity, and then there's somehow they've done a switch. The oud is just unpleasant in this, and then this is just uplifting and really sort of lovely. Like it's just lovely. Okay, let's talk about Mayar Natural Intense. Now I think I bought this because I like fresh fragrances, and at the time I think Lattafa didn't, or Middle Eastern fragrances didn't do many fresh fragrances. Again, they'd always put like oud or something in it, which we've seen. So I thought this was something I wanted to try. So this is mainly a floral, aquatic, fruity, ozonic citrus. Sounds lovely. Green tangerine, fig, melon, coconut water. There's a few florals in there, nice light florals. Musk, ambroxan, sandalwood, and vanilla. It is pleasant. This is totally fine. Why am I getting a bit of a minty scent in there too? This is nice. If you like a fresh fragrance and you're like, okay, Middle Eastern fragrances aren't for me, because they are, like they do have hidden oud and stuff in there. This is definitely a fresh version. This gives me designer vibes. This smells very much like a Dolce & Gabbana or a something that has that sort of fresh, slightly floral, slightly aquatic, just easy to wear, sort of airy, fresh vibes. I would say this is an easy reach. This is an easy purchase for someone. It's probably an easy blind buy, but there's not much personality in it that you kind of go, oh wow, that is so like, it speaks to my soul. This just feels like it's so generic, early 2000s designer fresh fragrance. There's nothing wrong with that, especially at the price point, but do I reach for this often? No. Is the longevity great? Is the projection great? Not really. It's fine. It's just middle of the road, fine. Will I wear it and use it up? Absolutely, but I will have to force myself to wear it, because I would prefer to reach for something like this over it, because this just is sort of semi-forgettable. Yara for me is like the forgettable sort of feminine, fluffy sort of vibe, and this is the forgettable fresh. They're fine, they're usable, but they're definitely on par with what I think about them. Yeah, usable, fine, wouldn't repurchase. Oh, now we're getting to something that is straight to the D. So let's just put in the D. Her Confession. So this is a dupe for Blanche Bette. It's supposed to be vanilla, white floral, tuberose. Some people say it's lactonic-ish. I think that's because of the tuberose. I had very hard time with this. This was the only perfume, I think, that gave me like an instant headache out of the Lattafa range. So it's got cinnamon, mystical, tuberose, jasmine, incense, blah, blah, blah. You can see the notes. I had to give this away because even having it sprayed in a room with me gave me a headache. So I don't like this. It's not for me. It's an instant D. It is worse than this one because I can tolerate this. I don't like it, but I can tolerate it. But yeah, it's D minus. It's horrible for me. Then we're getting on to a really popular one, Eclaire. So this is a dupe for Bianco Latte. I think Bianco Latte is a nicer scent. I think it's a little bit more vanilla-y and a little bit sweeter. But I think also there is something about both of them that doesn't jive well with my skin chemistry. I bought this because I was really invested in the Bianco Latte DNA. I wanted to love it. I had a sample. I was like, I can't commit to the price because I don't think it works on me, but I will buy the best known dupe that was around at the time. So this is supposed to be very sweet, vanilla, caramel. I don't really get that necessarily. So caramel, milk, sugar, honey, white flowers, vanilla, praline, musk. One thing that isn't really mentioned is that coumarin, I think, is what they use to get that vanilla scent. But on me, it smells quite nutty and odd. So coumarin, when I see coumarin in things, and this doesn't list it in the notes, but I know it's listed in the ingredients, I don't get that fluffy sort of like vanilla caramel cake vibe that other people get. I get this like weird sort of jarring, almost like almondy smell, but not even almond, not like a nice almond. It's just a bit odd. So I think Eclaire, for me, I can wear it. And I like the dry down, like the deep dry down of it. But there is something that is jarring about it. So like this artificial almondy sort of generic nutty vibe that I don't really like. So for me, this is not something I would repurchase. It is something that I would give to a friend if they were interested, or if it worked on their sort of skin chemistry. And it's something that, yeah, I would put this at a B. I'm not actively getting rid of it. I have worn it a few times in the past weeks, and it's fine. It's just not like I've got better vanillas. I'd prefer to reach for Nebras Elixir. So that is going to be B. Some people may ask, if I was so B about Eclaire, why did I buy Eclaire Banoffi? I don't know. I blind bought this. I was very excited. I thought banana, sort of sweet vanilla, it could work really well. So the notes of this, there's banana, dulce de leche, vanilla, whipped cream, praline, biscuit musk. I was like, okay, that's cool. We don't have some of that nuttiness or weirdness maybe with the original, but I was wrong. And it might, again, this does contain coumarin according to the box. And I think that just goes a bit funny on my skin chemistry. It is banana in the opening. I don't really get the dulce de leche. And again, I don't get the caramel in the original. So there's probably that problem with me. There is some biscuity sweetness, but to me, it really ends up smelling like a funky musk. So this almost smells like sweet body odor on me, which is not pleasant. Again, I would reach for the original more than this, because when I wear this, I actually sometimes smell myself and I'm like, oh, I smell bad. When I wear Eclaire, I think, okay, there's something I don't love. It's okay, but I've got better vanillas. When I wear this, I actually actively sometimes think I smell bad. So like I've got a bad body odor, but again, I think it's skin chemistry. So some people like this is the most banana, cozy, delicious scent. Good, but it's not something that I can actively wear. The only way I can wear it is if I layer it with like a caramel, which sort of overtakes a lot of the muskiness in this. So not for me, and I'm going to put it as a C because, again, similar to Nebras, the original, I can wear it. It just doesn't jive with me, and it feels like it's a bit ick. Let's pick this party back up and let's talk about Angham. Angham is my baby. I love Angham, and I can't even smell this. Where are you? Angham is instantly my S tier, 100%. And how do I know that? I know that because the other week I dropped my original one, which was down to around here. That's how much I'd used up in about a year. And I've got a big collection. I rotate it regularly. So the fact that I had about a third used up says a lot. But what also says a lot is I repurchased it the very next day. So I broke it at night, smashed on my floor, and I placed an order the very next day. So that's why this is a brand new bottle. The juice isn't as dark and it is a little bit more lavender fresh. So as this sits, the vanilla scent in it starts to get a bit stronger and it becomes more of a vanilla dominant scent. But I love Angham. I love Angham. I have a lot of fragrances I store in a drawer. This is always out because it's always a frequently used fragrance, and it is probably the fragrance that I get most compliments on. So I love this, and yeah, S tier because I had to repurchase it. If you're not familiar with what this is inspired by Burberry Goddess. I also love Burberry Goddess. I think I like this more because it is more sweet and vanilla heavy. So whereas Burberry Goddess to me is like a really beautifully balanced, fresh vanilla lavender with a little bit of ginger, I think. This is very similar, but it's got added notes of like praline, cacao. So it's a lot sweeter and it is more of that fluffy projecting vanilla cloud, which I also really like. It's also the type of fragrance that if you spray it on yourself and you're wearing like a jumper, the next time you wear that jumper, it's going to smell like a beautiful vanilla. So it does like linger on your clothes. I love it. So yeah, don't be deterred by the fact that there's no dent in it. This is my second bottle, and my other one was down to here, and then it smashed on the floor because this bit came off. Note to self, if that does happen again, glue it promptly so don't pick it up by there and it smashed on the floor. But definitely top tier. Next one is Noble Blush. This is an interesting one. This is something that I go through phases where I'm like, oh, I really like this. Other times I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like this came out at the height of like sweet lactonic sort of fragrances. And this one is like a rosy interpretation of it. Also want to mention that if you try this, it gets so strong after you've let it macerate. So the notes still stay the same, but it's just like, it's really strong. So the notes of this one, it's got rose milk, meringue, almond, vanilla, musk, sandalwood. To me, this is Yara with more personality. So it's definitely rose, it's definitely powdery, it's definitely sweet, maybe like meringue sweet, I get that, and definitely musky. So it still gives that sort of fluffy pink vibe, but it's less shampoo-y as Yara. This to me has a similar rose to Delina, whereas that's a little bit more fresh. This is more powdery almondy, if that makes sense. So it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I like it. I just don't know when to wear it, if that makes sense. I feel like it's so much easier on a daily basis to reach for this type of vanilla. And this one, I'm like, I don't know when to wear this. I don't know when I want to smell like rose milk, almond powder, musk. I don't know when, but I do like it. So this one I think sits strongly in the A because I think it's got personality. I probably wouldn't repurchase it. Oh, I was wearing this one this morning because I've been testing these. This is an interesting one. This is Teriaq Intense, which arguably I think is the most beautiful bottle out of all of them. It's got this beautiful snake and it just feels super luxe. This one is really interesting. Again, I don't know when I'm going to wear this, but I really like it. And to me, this is, it sort of has a Khamrah vibe, but just more balanced. They both have cinnamon. They both have amber, warm, fruity. So the notes of this one, there's saffron, bergamot, plum liqueur, cinnamon, amber, tonka bean, and benzoin. I'm getting all of that. Like as I'm saying it, I'm like tick, tick, tick. I think where I like this more than Khamrah is quite sickly sweet for me. And I like sweet, but it's almost sickly sweet in a direction that is too much for my body. It's like sweet, spicy, woody. It's all these kind of really strong scents, whereas this feels a little bit more refined. I get plum in it as well. I feel like the plum liqueur is doing a lot of the heavy lifting along with the bergamot to like lift this and balance it out. I really like this. Again, I think this is more of a winter fragrance for me. But I think it's like Khamrah, but better balanced and just fresher and more like niche smelling. So I really like Teriaq Intense. It's not something I'm going to wear on a daily basis. It's not going to become my signature scent, but this is like a nighttime going out scent for me. And it's really lovely. Again, it's got a bit of a masculine vibe to it. So if you're a female that likes to lean into some like slightly masculine scents, this is not going to feel out of place, but give you that sort of like vibe. I like it. I think it's really nice. So I'm going to give this an A. Now I've gotten to what I would consider probably the ugliest bottle. I think next to Yara, I hate this design. I think it's really gross. This one looks like a tombstone. It's not pleasant. This is Peace and Love. And this is one that I ummed and ahed about for so long. Essentially, this is a dupe for Dries Van Noten. Is it Soir Malachi? That is a really specific scent, and this is Lattafa's take on it. It is not for everyone, and for me it's a bit challenging, but I like it. It's an odd one. So the accords, and this is not usually what you'll see with me, woody, powdery, vanilla, fruity, almond, then he gets into floral, citrus, blah, blah, blah. The top notes, there's almond, blackcurrant, bergamot, rose and tuberose. Tuberose I don't usually like. Sandalwood, vanilla, and heliotrope. This is one where I think the notes are mixed in such a way that I can't identify a lot of those. A few of them I'm like, okay, a bit of blackcurrant, bit of almond, okay, yeah, a little bit. But you could also trick me into thinking it's got like fig and other things in it as well. So it's very unique. It smells very niche. I don't think it's a one-to-one dupe of the Dries Van Noten version, but it's really interesting. And again, it is completely unisex. It almost gives a soapy vibe. It's just really interesting. Again, not a daily scent for me, but fascinating. It's a bit of a fascinating scent, and it does last a really long time. And I think it's also one of those scents that you can pull out different notes and different elements of it as the day goes on. So it's a really interesting one. Is it something I'm going to repurchase? Is it something I need in my collection? Probably not. I think if I had to pick where this goes, looking at where I've put things, I think it does fall between A and B, but I'm going to put it in A because I think it's really well-made fragrance and it's really interesting. It's just one of those fragrances similar to, I guess, Teriaq Intense. I'm not going to wear as a daily fragrance, but I can respect it. And there's a time where I'll pull this out and go, oh, that really hits the spot. So I'll put this in A. All right, we've come to the last fragrance, and it is this one here. So I think it's Anna Abiyedh Coral. So there's a few from this range. And I believe this is inspired by Wave Child by Room 1015. This is a freshie, but freshie done well. So we're not going down the path of putting oud in it for no reason. And we're not really going down the path of generic fresh. This has a bit more personality, but it's probably more aligned with this one. So it is fresh, it is aquatic, it is ozonic, but it's also fruity and really nice. I think the issue with this is the longevity and the projection. Like, it's just a freshie that just doesn't last very long. But I think if you want an ozonic, fresh, sort of fruity fragrance, this hits the spot. Like, this is a great summer fragrance. So watermelon, peach, orange, there's coconut and white flowers. I don't get the coconut. I know that Room 1015 version, Wave Child, does have a bit of coconut. So I think they've popped a little bit in to make it smell more like that. But the coconut isn't dominant, which is good because coconut can give me headaches. Then it's got musk, amber, and vanilla in the base notes. So to me, this is just, again, it feels very early 2000s where those sort of freshy, aquatic, fruity vibes were in. And I like it. I think this is nice. I think if you're the kind of person that wants a strong fragrance that dominates and everyone to smell you as you enter the room, this is not going to be for you. But I think if you like that sort of fresh, airy, fun, summery vibe, this is a really nice one. So again, I think I would put this at A. I wouldn't repurchase it instantly, but if I found myself reaching for it a lot, this is sort of like a glorified body spray. But if I found myself reaching for a lot, there is a chance that I would repurchase it, especially if I was like getting low and it was on sale. So I'm going to pop it in A. So that's my ranking. I think it's fairly balanced. 2 S tier, 5 A tier, 5 B, 2 C, 2 D. And the good thing about doing this as well, it really lets me know what can I give away and get rid of, because if I'm just not going to use things, like, why have it around? So there's a couple on the chopping block that I would just give away to people if they're willing to take it, or give it to a friend or whatever. But then it's also got me to go back and sort of reevaluate things like this one. This one's a banger. Like, I'm going to spray it on me now. That pineapple, wow. Now, when I was thinking about doing this video, I thought I actually had, out of my Middle Eastern collection, I thought I had mostly Lattafa. But when I was pulling things out, I realized I think I mostly have Paris Corner. So if you want me to do another one of these rankings with my Paris Corner fragrances, I'm more than happy to do that. But I'd love to know what your favorite Lattafa fragrances are. What did you think about my ranking? You can absolutely disagree. Body chemistry, like just vibe, how things work on you. It's totally like everyone's different, but based on my favorites, I'd love to know what your recommendations are. So I'd love to have a chat in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.